What's up? Oh, fuck. Coach Miss here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, we're going to be breaking down the most dominant agent in all of Ranked, with the overall highest pick rate among all ranks in REYNA, because this character has the highest solo carry impact. And if you want to pick a character that can literally hard carry your trash teammates, look no further than REYNA. Now, that being said, a lot of people are playing her incorrectly, so we're going to be breaking down all of her abilities step by step and give you actionable tips and tell you all the mistakes that you're making so you can iron those out so that you can start to climb the ranked ladder. But go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for in-depth advanced guides, VOD reviews, feat picks. We got it all on the GameLeap website, so do yourself a favor, go check it out in the links down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now we're gonna jump right into it, talking about her abilities and all the mistakes and tips that we can give you on each one. First off, let's talk about her LEER flash ability. Now, this ability is extremely unique as far as a flash is concerned, because unlike every other flash, it doesn't affect your teammates, which means it's extremely good for team rushes. If you can group up your team in an area and execute on the point with the REYNA flash, this allows your full team to swing through. The enemies are going to have to respond to the flash, but because of the pure pressure, you're typically going to be able to get a free kill without the enemy being able to refrag it all. Now, one thing that a lot of people do wrong with LEER is they do it head level. You want to do it quite a bit higher, really high up in the air, and the reason for that is it really messes up the enemy's crosshair placement a lot. They have to flick up to shoot it, and then they have to bring down their crosshair in order to shoot your head, and flicking vertically is actually pretty difficult for a lot of people because they don't practice it as much as flicking horizontally. Now, the thing that you got to be careful of with LEER is that the weakness is it doesn't blind people that are extremely close to it, which means it's pretty poor up against shotgun and stingers. And a lot of times, if you suspect an enemy is using some of these guns in a close angle, you want to either wide swing that angle or push a completely different sector where you can guaranteed get that LEER value rather than running face first right into a shotgun blast. Now, the next thing that you could do with LEER is use it for information. A lot of times, even if you don't want to commit off your LEER, you could throw a LEER out, and if enemies are there, they will fire and you will get a little bit of information. This works exceptionally well just for getting bits and pieces of info about where enemies are and what weapons they have. And then the last thing that you can do with LEER is use it to alleviate pressure from other sides of the map. For instance, let's say your teammates are holding defensively on Haven on that A site and enemies start to rush. Well, you can send from mid a LEER through the wall to help put some dissuading pressure on the enemy, basically stalling their rush, give that person on point either the means to make a play or that little bit of extra pressure relief that comes with you flashing and forcing the enemies to either respect it or back away. Either way, very good use of LEER, and all in all, LEER is an amazing ability if you use it correctly. Now, moving on to the next big ability that we got to talk about with REYNA, we have to talk about her Dismiss and her Devour. First off, let's talk about her Dismiss. Now, what Dismiss allows REYNA to do is play very proactively and challenge angles that every single other character, basically besides Jett, would die in that scenario, and she could do so with confidence and quickly reposition behind a wall or a corner. Now, there are several ways to abuse this, and I'm going to talk about that later, but for now, just understand what Dismiss does at a primary level. But talking about one of the difficulties with REYNA is often deciding when you get that kill, do you want to be dismissing and repositioning, or do you want to be devouring? Because sometimes you need a little bit of health, but you don't know if any enemies are nearby. Now, unfortunately, I can't give you the die-hard answer here because it's going to be subjective based on your information. You never want to try to pop a Devour only to get swung on by an enemy and basically get killed for free when you could have got out safely, and that's the big fear. Now, that being said, however, sometimes you can predetermine that you're going to use Dismiss before you go for a play. For instance, if you're really aggressively challenging multiple enemies, you want to automatically know in your mind that you're going to dismiss the second you get the kill. So you're not deciding on the fly, you're basically pre-making that decision because you're playing so aggressively that you know you're going to have to dismiss anyway. So you basically cut out that moment of hesitation with a premeditated dismiss play. Now, of course, with Dismiss, one of the things that you should constantly be doing is jiggle peeking corners with information. If you get a kill on enemy and you don't have any information about the site, you could quickly peek the site using the orb to basically allow you to peek the angle without potentially getting killed in the process, which is just amazing as far as information is concerned and gets a little bit more value out of that Dismiss ability. On top of this, sometimes when you kill an enemy, you'll have a window of time where you could aggressively take a duel with another enemy, and you can have it to where you're going to dismiss using the first person's dead dismiss orb. Essentially, what you would do is you would aggressively push a person, try to burst them, and then dismiss automatically. And because you have that previous orb, even if you don't get the kill, you still get to get out safely. And this is kind of the best of both worlds, but it requires expert timing and realizing that there's a small window of time for you to do this play. So if you kill an enemy and you know another enemy is nearby and you don't need to heal at all, sometimes it's best to actually aggressively push that person and then do that burst play that I was talking about. And just remember, for those of you who do not play Reyna, you only have to be an LOS of these orbs to use Dismiss and Devour, not actually looking at the orbs yourself. Then we're going to the next ability that we got to talk about, and it's of course her Devour. And Devour just allows you to sustain up when you need it, and it's one of the best abilities and one of the biggest reasons why Reyna can often 1v3 when other characters can't. She has the capability of taking fair and even 1v1s, she takes damage, but instead of other characters that would have a progressively worse and worse time the more people they face in a row, Reyna will take all the 1v1s that she possibly can get, and Devour is the big reason for that. Now, that being said, when you have extra heals, it's important for you to understand that it's not forever, and it's often good to force a fight at full rather than wait for an inevitable fight later at less health. Sometimes that extra 50 health can be the difference between winning and losing a duel, and a lot of times if you are going to get an engagement anyways, it's better to force it while you still have that overheal intact. Now, the last thing that you really need to understand about Devour is an amazing ability for bringing you back from the brink. And a lot of characters will really take a ton of damage and they'll be something in like 20 health, right? And they will basically turn into bait fodder where they go in first and they try to get information, and that's all their life is worth. But for Reyna, if you can lurk or get a cheeky cutoff, getting a kill in isolation and getting healed back basically brings your entire character's impact back from the brink. And that's why it's super important that when you're at that low health total, as long as you have a Devour that you can use, it's good to sneak around, lurk around, try to do whatever you can to sneak through that kill. And sometimes when you are extremely low, changing your entire playstyle around first getting that Devour to full HP before you do anything else is sometimes the best thing you could possibly do. Then we're going to the last ability that we got to talk about on Reyna, and it's her ultimate, Empress. Now, Empress is very potentially powerful, but the problem with Empress is it's extremely hard to know how much value you will get before you use it. Basically, the idea here is that Empress has a low intrinsic value, meaning that hypothetically, you could die right after you use it and get 0 value. But at the same time, it has one of the highest ceilings in the game for an ultimate, which means that some scenarios when you use it, you can convert it into like a 1v3 or a 1v4 and clutch up the entire round off its back. Now, on top of that, because of the fact that it increases your fire rate and reload speed, sometimes you would have started that chain with Empress when you never would have started that chain without Empress. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times, it's like a big question mark, right? You don't know what Empress is gonna give you. You don't know if it's gonna help you clutch out the round. And for these reasons alone, a lot of times, it's just an ultimate that you just wanna use if the fight is winnable. And I mean a lot of times winnable by if the fight is not a dead set loss, like 1v5, or, you know, the spike is down and there are multiple things stacked against you, use the Empress ultimate. You never want to get into a situation where you would have won a team fight if you only would have popped Empress, and sometimes you never would have known if you would have even gotten a kill because maybe you would have got it if you had that increased fire rate. So a lot of players really get too greedy with their Empress. They hold it, they sandbag it for way too long, but it's definitely one of these ultimates that you can use freely, and sometimes you're gonna get headshotted right off the bat and get no value, but that's okay. You're never gonna be able to set this up for a perfect guaranteed impact, and that's just the nature of the ultimate in general. Now let's move on to the next thing that you need to understand, which is how to abuse Reyna. And these are the reasons why Reyna is so damn good in ranked right now. The first thing is rushes. We talked about that before. LEER-based rushes, especially with the frenzy meta right now on pistol round, it's just completely overpowered. You rush in, you flash out, you rush as a team, enemies that have frenzies on defense, they're going to use almost their entire clip destroying that LEER, and they're just going to get completely destroyed by rushing frenzies as a team. Now, the next thing that you could abuse on Reyna is alphaing up on an angle, and this is something that a lot of people that are confident in their mechanical skills do. Well, they'll aggressively push an angle, aggressively push out Haven mid, challenge that window, and basically they will die unless they get that kill. But because they're holding in an uncommon angle, enemies do not have their crosshair placement correctly to challenge them, and you automatically get an advantage in that regard. This is the tiny window that you abuse with your mechanical skill to get a kill, get out, and they'll be able to do this in a way that no other character can. And on top of that, Reynas will consistently be looking for aim duels. Look for these aim duels, find them and win them, and because Reyna doesn't get punished for being out of position, that's one of the best things that you could do, because other characters, if they try to be really aggressive and cheeky with aim duels, a lot of times they're just gonna get refragged, but not Reyna, and that is one of the reasons why she's amazing at lurking, amazing at challenging, amazing for aim duels, and alphaing up on angles. Now moving on to the pistol rounds on Reyna, this is one of the best things that you get to abuse on Reyna. Just the fact that Reyna gets to go up to 150 health on pistol round is freaking nuts. But I'm gonna suggest something to you on Reyna that some people might not like, so if you're not a Reyna player, tune out because I don't want to get flamed. But Reyna's actually extremely good on pistol round, and it's extremely good to bait your other duelists. Now, I do not mean stand in the choke and do nothing. I do not mean not push in with them at all. What I do mean is let your other duelists go in first. You have a character like Phoenix on your team, for example. Let him go in first and clear out those angles. And the reason you do this on pistol round is because you have the highest conversion to winning that round as long as you get that 150 HP. You're rocking something like a frenzy, you get it to 150 HP with a frenzy with side control, you will win the round. It's gonna happen, but a lot of times if you rush onto point first and get killed by an unsuspecting person hiding in the corner, you cannot win that round for your team. Yes, that Phoenix might die, he's gonna clear out space, he might die, but if you refrag him, you get that kill, then you will guaranteed win that round, and that's really important that you should play for. I know it's not the most popular idea to have a Reyna, a duelist, not going in first, but really, that's kind of the playstyle that you should incorporate, especially on pistol round, because it's so important for you to get to that 150 HP, and yes, your Phoenix might be salty that you didn't go in first and that he died for you to pop off and get that 3K or 4K, but in the end of the day, his impact really helped you pop off and both of you secured the round for the team, and that's all that matters in the end. Now, the next thing that we gotta talk about is Reyna, Vandal versus Phantom. And the thing is, typically, Reyna mains at higher ranks will rock the Vandal. The reason being because you could aggressively take those aim duels, you could aggressively challenge places like mid window, and you get that one tap kill, and then you can quickly dismiss, and it's all relying on winning that duel. It's all relying on your mechanical skill, so why not rock the Vandal? Well, this is gonna be true for like 90% of Reynas, but that being said, the advantage of a Phantom on Reyna is you can play inside of smokes a lot more. You can push through smokes, you can spray a lot more, and you can play inside of smokes, which is definitely something that could be good depending on what the enemy team is playing. So in general, Reyna's probably going to want to use the Vandal, but there will be some scenarios where the Phantom is better. So definitely analyze the situation before you pick either weapon and realize that you do not have to just stick with one weapon throughout the entire course of a game. Now let's talk about the 3 big mistakes that people are making on Reyna, or things that just can't happen when you're playing Reyna. The first mistake is people like to snipe on Reyna, and Reyna is really a character that you should not be sniping on. She's probably one of the weakest snipers in the game, for the sole reason that she's so damn good at using a rifle, and sniping really doesn't play into her kit at all. If you want to snipe, play a character like Jett. Reyna is not really the go-to sniper. There's probably like 3 more characters on your team that would be better off using a sniper rather than you, and a lot of your strengths are not amplified by you on sniper. The next thing is bottom fragging. You can't bottom frag on Reyna. I'm sorry, but if you're bottom fragging on Reyna, you deserve to get D-ranked. That's just as simple as I can put it, because Reyna just can't. Reyna has all the tools to get multiple kills, and if you're at the top of the ladder, top of the leaderboard, don't think, hey, my teammates, I'm carrying them, they're freaking trash. No, you should be at the top. That's what Reyna does. And a lot of times, if you can't handle the pressure of being at the top, and if you are not confident in your mechanical skills, then more than likely, you probably shouldn't be on REYNA. And then the last thing is not grinding your aim enough. If you're a REYNA main, you need to be in that deathmatch, practicing your aim in training, whatever you can. Your aim is your bread and butter, and it's extremely important for you to practice it every single day, because a little bit better aim could mean many kills on the scoreboard and many more wins than losses. But go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for in-depth advanced VODs by a top 100 Radiant player on REYNA, where he breaks down step by step exactly what you need to do to dominate on REYNA every single time, just like he does in his top 100 Radiant games against pros. But thank you so much for coming by. I hope you enjoyed the video. That's all I got for you today. I'm Coach Milfs, and until next time,